Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. When I started this podcast in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women business owners, creatives, and entrepreneurs. In each episode, my guests provide resources, valuable tips, and inspiration. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strength to achieve success on their own terms. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. And I'm really glad you can join us today. And we're going to get started introducing my guest, Mayzelle. She's a first-generation college graduate from West Virginia, USA. Her longtime dream of living abroad eventually led to the foundation of Scriptoria Solutions, a fully distributed, feminine-forward team of technical communicators serving professionals in social and environmental justice. Scriptoria Solutions takes grant applications, policy briefs, academic manuscripts, and other big scary documents off their clients' desks. The result, riveting written words that get funders, policymakers, and top talent excited about taking sustainability solutions to new heights. Scriptoria Solutions also hosts team writeshops and is currently developing an online tool to help climate mitigation professionals identify and act on the often non-intuitive co-benefits and co-risks of their work. So welcome to the show, Megan.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
So, before we get a little bit more into what your company does, could you please share how you got started in this work?
Yeah, I've learned that there's two ways people really get involved in business. One is that they know how to build a business, they identify a need in the market, and they target that very intentionally. The other is you happen to have a skill that people keep asking to pay you for, and eventually you think, I just have to make a business, and then you learn along the way. And I was very much the latter. After finishing my graduate studies, I moved into a career, and I kept finding myself at a desk. I would relocate to a new city, maybe somewhere I didn't necessarily want to be otherwise, and would find myself working at a desk on the computer. And I was thinking, I could be anywhere doing this, and why am I here? And at some point I decided, okay, I'm going to save up some money, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to try to freelance and see if I can earn a living on my own with the internet, so that someday I could just move and be wherever I want to be in the world without sacrificing my career every time I want to relocate. And I was able to do that as a technical writer. I was trained as a scientist and had some natural writing ability. And that was as far as the dream went for me. I never imagined building a company around that. But after maybe a year and a half, I started getting so much demand. I was absolutely swamped. And as anyone who's ever freelanced knows, you are quote unquote free to turn anyone away, but if you turn that client away, they're going to find somebody else to do the work, and maybe they'll never come back. So you're trying not to say no. And in a point of desperation, I just quickly made a company online so that I could hire a copy editor to help me with all the reports I was researching and writing. And that has evolved and grown organically as we've responded to different client requests or demands over the years. And now we're a team of about 9 all over the world with different skill sets and higher degrees, but all with the commonality of wanting the freedom to be where we like to be, where we can be most productive, and also being really expert in technical writing and technical communication.
Wow, that's terrific. And I really think it's timely, not just because of sustainability, of course, being a very timely topic, but also I saw your video on LinkedIn, and you were talking about your team and all these things that you are doing. And I think it's really pretty refreshing to see a company actually walking the talk and not just talking. Could you really share a little bit about how things work with your company? Because I'm seeing things about how you are emphasizing, the team members really having a part of what's going on and really feeling like they're involved in all these features and benefits, I guess you could say, that normally we don't see
Yeah.
in companies. You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. This is my pride and joy. Honestly, I don't see how I could do it any other way. I work really hard to find the right people to join this team who need exactly what the team offers and can offer exactly what the team needs. And we invest heavily and we become a close cohort. And we can't afford to lose those people. They're just so valuable. So everything we can do and everything we can give to make their contribution to Scriptoria Solutions successful for them and rewarding for them, I'm ready to do it. But there's really three categories in my mind of ways that we address sustainability. And I think three of them relate really well to the team itself, as you were referencing. The first is sustained health. I find that it is absolutely critical to self-renew in order to consistently deliver gold standard work. And we serve clients that are doing incredibly important things at a global level in issues like housing and public health and climate change. They need gold standard every time. So in order to deliver that, we have to make sure that the team is at their best. That means working during your personal productive hours, choosing what times you dig in and when you take a break and step away. It means living where you find energy and where you feel connected, not having to commute. We all have the right to say no to more work. Nobody is obligated to take on new projects at any time. Everyone is encouraged to ask for help and to prioritize fun and rest so that when they come back better than ever. The second element is shared wealth. So I think this is where we get into some really non-traditional things. First of all, everyone on the team has a base rate that they are promised that is somewhere between 350 and 500% of their resident country's minimum wage. And that is to ensure that they're all highly trained, highly intelligent individuals that could be doing any sort of work they want to do. So in order to ensure that they're able to keep doing the good work in social and environmental justice, we have to compensate them correctly. But on top of that, Scriptoria Solutions has a sliding scale. So we accommodate nonprofits, we accommodate social enterprises and startups, and we also work with large corporations. We commit to the team that they will receive half of what the client pays on any invoice. So the individual's doing the work. So the industry standard is somewhere around 30%, but we move up to that 50%. And even when we have a client who's able to move up the sliding scale, that's not to enrich our coffers. The team gets a proportional increase in their in-pocket take-home pay. So those clients who are able to pay more know that the team members that they're working with are directly compensated for that. And then the third element is, and in the video you mentioned, I talk about this great quote by Danny Kennedy, where he says, "Entrepreneurship is the best form of activism we have." So, of course, Scriptoria Solutions in itself is striving to be an activist by supporting social and environmental justice professionals with our skill set. On top of that, we invite every team member to be an activist for whatever cause she is particularly passionate about by going out, finding clients that she can serve in that space, leveraging her team members and all of the resources and platforms that Scriptoria Solutions offers to fulfill that work, getting to set her own prices, manage resources, all of these things that as individuals move through their career, they crave. You want an experience in a management position, in a more challenging client-facing position. So not only does it let them advance their careers and stay with us ultimately longer term, but they also get to really pursue what they love and do work that they feel is good in the world.
I really can't find the words for that because it goes so counter to a lot of the corporate experiences. I know a lot of people listening who either are in corporate right now or still kind of, remembering when they were, because a lot of times what drove them to go out and do their own business. It's just so counter to those ideas and things that they push, saying to employees one thing, but then when the person is really trying to manage their life and their employment, it kind of doesn't come out that way. So this really is innovative, and it's really in line with the kind of work that you're doing. So I really find that impressive and encouraging, because a lot of small business owners do want to do things differently. And that's a lot of what they came out of those backgrounds for, because they don't want to do things in the same way. And I think you're really showing how it can be done. When we're talking about, technical communications and all these things that individuals or companies or nonprofits may not really want to do, or may not feel they have the expertise to do. Can you describe that in a way that if someone's listening and really trying to get a handle on your services and things, individual listening right now who may not be really in this industry or understanding how all these things are working together?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically someone who's working for social and environmental justice, that's a bucket that I would say includes issues like public health, epidemiology, climate action, public housing, homelessness. There's a variety of things that wherein we can work toward more justice on this planet. And we're willing to serve any and all people working toward those means and ends. Oftentimes they find themselves, whether it is a nonprofit, whether it is a startup, whether it's the sustainability arm of a large corporation, they often find themselves pulled in a lot of directions, and they struggle to find the time and energy to focus on deep work, big documents that they definitely need to create in order to get more funding or get press or just tell their bosses that what they're doing and what successes they've had. And in addition, a lot of them are scientists and engineers. And this group of people, scientists and engineers, hold incredibly complex knowledge. And they often find it challenging to convey that complex knowledge in a way that is both correct and manageable to people outside their field of expertise. Let's take climate change as an example. We're beginning to see really advanced technologies that would actually suck carbon out of the air to try to save us from some of the damage we've already done in the past. Those things aren't easy to explain in a way that's exciting to, let's say, a policymaker or a grant funder, but you need to do it. You need to explain it clearly. You can't falsify any of the information, of course. It needs to be true, but it also needs to be digestible for them. And that's not easy for someone who's really in the weeds. So in both of those scenarios, bringing in an outside person to write that document for you offers a much greater advantage than you trying to do it yourself as someone who's in the weeds and also pulled in all directions every day. An external person can give it the focused attention it needs, and they can also take a bird's eye view that you're not able to take. So specifically, these big documents would include things like grant applications, policy briefs, white papers, academic manuscripts is one that we work on quite often that get published in academic journals, even news articles and research papers.
I'm just listening and taking it all in, because I also do technical writing, but from a perspective of IT and programming and that kind of thing. So I know how huge that kind of work is. It isn't just, one thing. It can spread into all different industries and all different ways that people are able to translate really specialized information in ways that people can understand. So, I'm really finding this very interesting to really hear how this is being applied. A lot of people may know about grants and things like that. That might be something that might be more likely to have heard, just in general speaking. But you also do things like academic papers and copy editing and things like that as well?
Yes, we do. So for academic manuscripts, for example, we might interview the authors one by one. We try to take the burden of writing off of them entirely if possible. So even that includes writing emails. So we might interview them, get a set of bullet points down on paper. We go through repeated revisions to make sure everyone is really closely aligned. As you know, technical writing, there's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of subtle differences. You really have to get it all exactly right. So we might start with bullet points, get everyone agreed on them, start organizing them into the standard sections of an academic journal, start fleshing them out into paragraphs, and at each iteration, having everyone check it off. provide feedback until you end up with a full academic manuscript. As another example, if it's helpful, last
Yes.
year we completed a series of reports for World Food Program, and we worked with climate modelers and individuals expert in conflict and migration, for example, among many others, and synthesized all of those experts and individuals' contributions to an analysis of how climate change could impact food aid provided by World Food Program in a suite of developing economy countries around the world.
This is really fascinating because it's something that a lot of people may not even realize is going on. And these are opportunities for small business owners to definitely see where they may be able to fit in. And I think this is really fascinating to hear that all this work is going on and that there are ways that business owners can participate. Can you tell us a little bit about your upcoming products that you have?
Yes. Writeshops are something that's becoming increasingly popular with our clients. We always assumed that our clients did not want to write and that they were very happy to just get the work done. We're starting to discover that indeed they would love to become more comfortable with the idea of writing. And we're doing these on sites that are a blend of helping a diverse team coming from a spectrum of technical backgrounds identify and lay out clear plans for publications that they can collaborate on all together as a team, processes and practices to help them get over that white page paralysis and that process of writing too much and then painfully having to cut all these words that you've become emotionally attached to, even some basic copy editing to help colleagues improve their drafts before they get sent out for review. And then the third element of those writeshops is actually writing, just sitting down, everyone's quiet, working on their documents. And we just have seen so much enthusiasm and excitement from clients. Like they keep writing until like 6, 7 p.m. and keep asking for more. Or they'll pull us aside with another document that they're working on and ask for some pointers. And that's been going incredibly well. And we're thinking about ways that we can make that more broadly accessible, perhaps through courses online or another approach. And then the other thing that we're working on right now is called the Carbon Socio-Ecological Responsibility Matrix. And that sounds like a mouthful, but essentially over the years, we have done many, many research projects for different clients from World Bank, United Nations, international research centers on climate action and the potential benefits and impacts often in vulnerable frontline communities. And we started thinking, how could we use this information in a helpful way, particularly now that climate change mitigation, that is actually removing carbon from the air, is starting to become a real possibility. There's been lots of advancements in that space. There's a lot of venture capitalists starting to invest in it. There's a lot of people moving out of Facebook, Hewlett Packard, Slack to move into the climate space and start pursuing these solutions. How can we help those people? Because we want them to succeed. And what we came up with is let's try to create an online tool that would ask some basic questions about their project that they can answer off the top of their head. And we provide in return some general indicators about what some co-benefits to their project besides carbon removal they might see, and some potential risks that maybe they hadn't considered. Because everyone means well, and there's always unintended consequences. And if we can alert them to that possibility in advance so that they can either avoid it or mitigate it, all the better. You know, if they can have positive reverberative impacts beyond carbon, we definitely want to help them achieve that. So that product is under development. If any of your listeners happen to be individuals working in carbon removal, either as founders, startups, funders, we're looking for people to tell us what they need and to help us develop the first version of this tool.
So what would you say for someone listening who may have not been aware that all this work is going on, that they could possibly be a part of it? You know, I guess from a small business perspective, could you recommend any first steps for them and, their organizations including your own, that they may want to reach out to and maybe have conversations with, or there maybe there's maybe papers they should read or things, how would someone get into this or at least learn about it from, let's say, from the bottom line?
Yeah, I can think of a couple of resources. As an entrepreneur in general, outside my specific corner of the world, I think joining a business community has been the number one thing I've done that has been life-changing for my team and myself. Personally, I joined Dynamite Circle. It's a group of entrepreneurs who also focus on geographic independence and remote work. So it was a great fit for me. And basically every business success we've had has been as a direct result of the people in that community that have been supportive of me. Specifically in our niche, of course, I always welcome followers on LinkedIn. We post a lot of content. Everyone on the team posts every week about her specific skill set, be that copy editing, data visualization, grant writing. And you can get quite a few interesting tips or even reach out to the individuals who seem to be posting what is of most interest to you to get more information. I'm always happy to talk with budding entrepreneurs or really any stage to share ideas. If I can save someone any of the trouble that I've been through, I'm so pleased to do that. So they can absolutely reach out and contact me as well.
So that's great. I think that will be very much appreciated. So, Megan, can you please share with listeners where they can find you?
So like I said, we're really present on LinkedIn. The company is called Scriptoria Solutions on LinkedIn. We also have scriptoriasolutions.com where you'll see information about our team, our full portfolio of work, and our clients that we serve.
Looking at your information in your website, you go into a lot of detail and about what you do and your work. And I just, was wondering, how difficult was it, or was it difficult at all, for you to come up with the ways that you want your team to work? Because as I mentioned, to some people, this is kind of counter to how a lot of people are used to working, at least here in the United States. And there was such a push for people after, coming to terms with the pandemic, where a lot of people didn't want to return to the office. And there seemed to be a push to kind of get people to go back to the office, for instance. That's just one thing. But, how was it for you and your team to really get their heads around this different way of working? Or was it just a kind of normal, natural step for all of you?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. COVID had almost no impact on our professional lives because we were already remote long before, and we were already a group of people that wanted geographic independence and freedom. So if anything, we just got more work done because we were stuck at home. And I think as far as some of the other aspects of our, sustainable approach to work, honestly, it came very naturally because it was just a question of what would I want and what would make me happy, and can I give that to my team? As I said, I get so invested in these individuals. We take a long time to choose people to join the team, and I love working with all of them and I want them to stay. So it's just a question of what could I do to make their experience 1 inch better? And, that's a constant question that's coming to mind, and I'm always iterating and searching.
It's great for people to really think in those terms. And I think that's what we certainly need more of. So, Megan, you shared so much, and this is just, of course, the very tip of the iceberg of this industry and what you are doing inside it. But for now, we're just coming to the end of our conversation. And do you have any final thoughts to share?
I think if I may, I'd love to highlight 2 of my clients whose work I really am appreciating quite a bit lately. You've heard me mention large organizations like the United Nations and World Bank, and of course they're doing fantastic work, and we highly appreciate them trusting us with their documents. We also have some smaller organizations, and one that I'd like to highlight is Green River. They have been in operations for nearly 2 decades, and they create software solutions to really wicked issues in the United States, particularly homelessness and unemployment and public health. and they're doing some really fantastic work. If you or any of your listeners have a software need, that's definitely the place to go. The other one that I'd love to call out is the Carbon Business Council. They are a new startup. I believe that they've only just announced maybe 4 months ago. And they are working to bring small climate action startups to the policy table in the United States, particularly at the federal level. They're really hustling and doing great work. And we recently supported their debut white paper for Climate Week in New York City, and we were really proud to support them. So just some shout outs to anyone who might be listening. Those are some great organizations.
And thanks so much for sharing that, Megan. So, as I said, this has been a wonderful conversation. You shared a lot, and I'm sure that everyone listening has learned a lot, possibly about an industry they may not be as familiar with. So, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Deb, thank you for your great questions. It was an awesome conversation.
And everyone, I know you enjoyed this. Please share it on social media. Share it with your friends and contacts. And also be sure to check in with Megan on LinkedIn particularly, and check out her website. And, if you want to reach out to her to just have a conversation, definitely do that as well. So you could see what ways you may be able to participate in this industry and be a part of what's going on. So once again, it's Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. I want to thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.